Am I wrong for saying a trans man's birth name after he kept pronouncing my boyfriend's name wrong? Hi. My family is divided over this, and I don't know if I should apologize. I would like to know what strangers think. On NYEME, 25, my boyfriend, 24, and my parents attended a family gathering at my aunt's house. My cousin, 31, and her boyfriend Max, 30-something, were there as well. Max is a trans man and I met him 6 years ago when he and my cousin began dating, before he made the transition. Back then, he was introduced to me as Mary, his birth name, that's how I know what it was. When Max made the transition, we were informed that we should refer to him as Max, and he specifically asked us not to mention his previous name Mary. This NYE was the first time Max met my boyfriend. Me and my cousin are not close, we rarely see each other. Max was born in country X. For the sake of this post, I will call it Elven country, so his first language is Elvish. My boyfriend is also half Elvish and his name is Elvish, but he was born in an English-speaking country. His name is pronounced very differently in Elvish, but the pronunciation he uses is English. Let's say his name is John, but in Elvish it's pronounced like Jan, and it's not even a good example as it doesn't reflect accurately just how different the pronunciation is. When we arrived, Max deduced my boyfriend might be Elvish because of his name. My boyfriend explained that he is half Elvish, but was raised in an English-speaking country. He introduced himself to Max as an English-sounding shortening of his name, think Johnny. Later during dinner, Max referred to my boyfriend as Jan. Initially I didn't even realize Max was talking to him, as the Jan pronunciation doesn't sound like John at all, and my boyfriend never told me that the Elvish pronunciation was different. When I realized Max was talking to John, I looked at him, and saw that this pronunciation made him very uncomfortable. John then said that he goes by John, not Jan. Max began arguing that Jan sounds much better than John, and that Americans always fuck up our names, irrelevant as John is not from the USA. John didn't respond, he always does everything to avoid conflict, but I could see how uncomfortable he was. John was raised by his Elvish father, who was extremely abusive. He has been in therapy for a few years now, and he used to have a lot of flashbacks, but now thanks to the therapy they are rare. However, when Max was using the Jan pronunciation, I could tell that he was dissociating, like he was about to have a flashback. These were always very hard for him. Later John told me that his father always called him Jan, his father mostly spoke Elvish with him. I got very angry with Max at this point. He kept saying Jan and going on and on about how we should use the original Elvish form of this name. I said, how would you feel if we called you Mary? Max became very angry as well, and said it was a completely different story, and uncalled for. He would avoid talking to either me or John until the end of the evening. When we got home later, I saw that my cousin, Max's girlfriend, messaged me that Max was upset, and that I should call him and apologize. My parents say that I was right, that it should teach Max a lesson, and that I shouldn't apologize and take back what I said. John says I should probably apologize, because Max couldn't know that the Jan pronunciation is triggering for him. I disagree, as I think you should call someone by how they introduce themselves, no questions asked, and it's rude to insist on different name or pronunciation. However, I feel bad, because I understand that it might be hard for trans people to hear their previous name. I know that I tend to get overprotective of John. Most people don't know about things that trigger him, and he cannot always set his boundaries. I know that it's not very helpful of me to set them for him, I'm dealing with this in therapy as well. So I know I was wrong for this, I should have let him handle it. However, my question is, was I an asshole to Max? Should I apologize to him? Updater. First of all, I attempted to read all the comments I got, at least the ones I got notifications for. Thank you everyone, no matter your judgment. The response that stood out to me came from Salty Hands. This person said, when you use someone's dead name, when you weaponize their gender or their struggles with gender, what you're really saying is that this can be taken away. That the respect and acknowledgement of who they are, of their nature, is conditional. If they don't treat you with respect, then their right to have their identity respected/recognized can be revoked. Which, in turn, tells every trans person that they aren't themselves to the same degree you are. This one, and other similar comments, showed me that bringing up Max's birth name was indeed a transphobic thing to do. A better way to prove my point would be mispronouncing Max's name, for example, Mick. This instead would be fair. The fact that I didn't expect such a response to this topic, and how heated were some arguments in the comments, also made me recognize my privilege. I grew up in a very accepting family, surrounded by people of various ethnicities, genders, and sexual orientation. I'm bisexual, and when I realized that, it didn't occur to me that I had to come out. This should probably be very telling. I don't think I'm xenophobic, but now I see that I still have to educate myself on certain topics. Thank you for helping me see this. Update: Max messaged both me and John today morning. He apologized to John, saying that years ago, before transition, he had bad experience with people mispronouncing his birth name Mary, which is also Elvish, and also pronounced quite differently in English. People insisted on using the English pronunciation, and the memories of this experience still make him angry. This happened during his exchange program in the USA, which explains his comment about American people. He also said that he got carried away because he was a little drunk. We didn't know he drunk, because we arrived to the party a little later than him and my cousin. In the message for me, Max also apologized for upsetting me by being unfair to John, but said that me saying his birth name was hurtful. I messaged him back, and apologized for bringing this into the conversation. I suppose the issue is resolved now. Max promised to use the English pronunciation of John's name from now on, and I promised to further educate myself on gender identity to avoid making mistakes in the future. Again, I would like to help everyone for sharing your thoughts. And to the people who were confused by the fake names and country, this is my account that I use to follow and participate in PTSD communities, and since this post had to do with John's past, it made sense to use this account. While I understand that it might seem redundant to be so secretive, if there are people that may want to track you down, I think it's better to be safe than sorry. There may be people like that in John's past. Still, there were commenters trying to guess the ethnicity, and none of the guesses were correct, which makes me glad I used Elven country after all. I'm also glad it made other commenters laugh.